Zephyrus is one of the generic names for laptops in numerous Asus series, sub-series and lineups. The ROG Zephyrus G15 has been on the market for some time now. It is a relatively lightweight, relatively compact laptop with serious enough graphics to be used as a gaming one. In the top configuration, it has a 15.6-inch IPS screen with a refresh rate of 240 Hz and a response time of 3 milliseconds, so the orientation towards gamers is obvious. To be honest, with all the advantages of this laptop, and it certainly is one, the updated G1500 modification attracted us primarily by the fact that it is one of the first laptops in the world on the AMD Ryzen 7nm processor of the new 4000 line on the Zen 2 core. Therefore, all the most interesting for us will be concentrated in the last part of this review, but first, let's talk about the laptop itself. Configuration and packaging. In the updated line of ROG Zephyrus G15, in addition to the GA502IU modification, there is also the GA502IB. Their key difference is in the discrete graphics card. The GA502IU uses the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660Ti, and the GA502IB uses the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060. The amount of memory, apparently up to 16GB, SSD, there is a variant of the 512GB model, OS version, Windows 10 Home, and an IPS matrix with slightly worse characteristics, at least with a refresh rate of the screen, can be simplified. 144 Hz. The box contained only a power cord, 0.8 meters long, and a 180-watt power adapter with its own 1.8 meters cable. Appearance and ergonomics. The ROG Zephyrus G15 is packed with an attractive plastic case. Asus emphasizes that for a gaming laptop it is very thin and generally extremely portable, but we disagree with these estimates. Both the dimensions are quite typical for a 15-inch laptop, and the weight is standard. For gaming models, it is stupid to compare with ultra-mobile solutions. At the same time, these figures are really good, and it is quite possible to carry the ROG Zephyrus G15 with you. The work surfaces are matte and pleasant. The visual distinguishing feature of the case is the trapezoidal cutout at the base of the lid, which is why even with a closed laptop the status indicators, power on, charging, disk activity, located on the plane of the working surface are clearly visible. The cover slides back and down when open, so that in normal operating position the cutout in its base is not visible. In general, the solution is nice and convenient. The sides of the case are flat for a change. The laptop does not pretend to be wedge-shaped, only at the very edges there are slight bevels at the bottom. Because of this, the laptop can be easily lifted off the table. The lid is held closed by two magnets in the corners. The clamping force is sufficient so that it does not dangle, but it is quite easy to lift the lid with your fingers if you pick it up in the middle, where a special bevel of the case edge is made. In general, the hinges are not particularly tight. The lid has a slight backlash when touched, but it can be easily deflected with one hand, without holding anything anywhere. The lid deviates by about 135 degrees, including moving downwards, but in the end it does not rest against the table, since the body stands on rather high legs. These legs are rather chaotically scattered along the bottom, in order, apparently, to maintain sufficient clearance to the ventilation holes, even if the laptop is on an uneven or cluttered surface. The traditional pair of speakers is brought out precisely on the bottom, not on bevels, but thanks to the high legs, the sound should not be muffled. The laptop has no interface connectors on the front and rear panels of the case. The front is generally empty, only ventilation holes are located at the back. There are also few connectors on the right, since another ventilation section is brought out there, only two USB Type-A and a hole for a Kensington lock. But the left side partially redeems such modest equipment. There are a power connector for a branded round-shaped plug, a full-fledged network outlet without folding parts, as well as an HDMI video output, a combined mini jack, input and output, another USB, Type-A, and the most interesting, USB Type-C. Of the four USB connectors, only Type-C corresponds to the Gen 2, USB 3.1, high-speed mode, but at least all the others are USB 3.0, without these incomprehensible atavisms, which we recently for some reason regularly meet in laptops. So, the local USB Type-C can be used for traditional data transfer via the USB protocol or serve as a video output with DisplayPort support. It also supports the USB power delivery protocol, with a power of up to 65 W, and in both directions, you can quickly charge mobile devices from it, or you can charge the laptop itself if you have an adapter or a mobile battery with this output. The bezel around the screen is quite thin here. The thickness of its top and side segments is almost 7 mm. Several microphones are installed in the lower segment of the frame. The webcam is traditional, however, no, there is simply no webcam here. This is what we understand the protection of privacy. Now let evil hackers try to spy on you via the internet. Speaking seriously, the decision is ambiguous, but Asus offers an additional purchase of the ROG GC21 webcam with inconspicuous characteristics, 1080p 60, and this camera can be mounted on the screen frame, on edge of something or just sit on the table. It is clear that such a camera will provide more opportunities for interesting video communication in the game chat, but still this is additional money and, most importantly, additional movements. The keyboard does not take up very much space here. There are large fields around it, but there is logic in this. For a gaming laptop, it is more important that the user can comfortably place his hands and press the right button in the right split second. Overall, the layout is progressive, with positive changes over what we usually see in laptops. The keys on the top row of the keyboard are reduced in height, but are divided into building blocks of 4 F keys with significant gaps between them. The arrows have the same, albeit reduced, size and are more or less detached. They even crawl out beyond the standard bottom row. At the same time, a thick space of complex shape comes out there. The keys for editing text, home, and page up, page down, insert, delete are also slightly separated. There are 2 function buttons on opposite ends of the keyboard, so there should be no problem with comfortable chords. Yes, insert, delete are combined, and E is narrow. Also, above the standard keyboard block there are 4 additional keys, for operational work with volume and microphones and for launching the proprietary Armory Crate utility. The power button is also placed outside the keyboard, you won't be able to accidentally press it. By default, the top row of keys performs the functions F1 F12, and it could control the parameters of the laptop, media player buttons, changing the screen brightness, switching the cooling system profile, turning off the touchpad and wireless networks. These buttons must be pressed with FN. We did not find a switch for this mode in the laptop. The keyboard has a membrane mechanism and an island arrangement of keys. The buttons are moderately large, comfortable. The distance between the centers of the keys in one row is 19 mm, a little more than usual, and between their edges, 3 mm. The buttons are expected to be very quiet, but also with a rather firm pressure, so the feedback here is felt better than with conventional membrane keyboards. And this despite the fact that the key travel is very small, 1.2 mm. We also mentioned that the processing of clicks is carried out independently, and key rollover, that is, how many buttons you press at the same time in the heat of the battle, the game will react to everything. There is a 3-level brightness white backlight, the 4th state is off. The symbols on the keys themselves are highlighted and their contours are slightly highlighted, but when you deviate from the keyboard, a backlight zone is visible under each key. However, it glows softly, the eyes are not irritating at all. A slightly recessed touchpad measuring 105 x 74 mm is located under the keyboard. It does not have dedicated keys. Pressing can be performed over almost the entire area of the touch panel. Pressing conventionally in the lower right corner is perceived as pressing the right mouse button. Unfortunately, the laptop does not have such a convenient fingerprint scanner in everyday life. Apparently, this is not a gaming attribute. By unscrewing a few Phillips screws, you can remove the bottom panel of the case. This opens up access to both coolers, the non-removable battery, the wireless module, the SSD in the M.2 slot, and the memory module in its SO-DIMM slot. Interesting, an empty M.2 slot with C interface for another SSD drive. Battery. The laptop battery has a capacity of 76 watts. In general, the battery life of the laptop is quite decent, although far from being a record one. The battery pack is impressive, so this is an attempt to create a hybrid between a powerful gaming laptop and a portable one. Of course, we are not seriously discussing autonomy in games or under any other high load. But if you want to combine work on the run and play in the comfort of your home, this laptop is fine. The time to fully charge the laptop battery from the standard adapter is approximately 2 hours. In the proprietary My Asus utility, you can turn on the battery life extension mode by choosing how much to undercharge the battery, in accordance with the typical laptop usage profile. The corresponding LED on the case lights up red when charging, up to 95%, and white when working. When the discharge is below 10% it starts blinking red. Asus offers an optional lighter, more compact 65 watts adapter for fast charging on the go. This adapter has a USB Type-C output connector, so you can also use it for charging smartphones and any other mobile equipment. And vice versa, if you already have such an adapter, for example, from the kit of a modern smartphone, you can also charge your Asus ROG Zephyrus G15 with it without any problems. Also, of course, laptop charging from external batteries, power banks, is supported. Workload and heating. The Asus ROG Zephyrus G15 laptop has two hot chips, a 60-watt discrete NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660T, Max-Q video accelerator and a 35-watt AMD Ryzen 7 4800HS processor. The cooling system is used here, which is traditional for such cases, small pads on the CPU and GPU and several heat pipes to the radiators at the rear and right walls of the case, through which two fans blow air. Cold air is sucked in mainly through the holes on the bottom of the case, and hot air is blown back, while it does not bother anyone and even practically does not heat the lid, and to the right-handed hand lying on the mouse may heat up a little. Note that the heat pipes intertwine the two coolers in such a way that even under load only on the processor, or only on the video accelerator, both fans still work, and together they cool more. Let's not resist, and first of all let's say about the processor. For 35 watts consumption, the result is simply great. AMD's new mobile processor is just a minute faster than the 95-watt Intel Core i7-9700K, we won't talk about the reference Core i5-9600K. It is clear that with a competent reduction in frequency and voltage, you can get a more energy-efficient processor. This is the principle on which video cards in the Max-Q modification are built, but the Ryzen 7 4800HS is not only more energy efficient, it is also stupidly more productive. The expression powerful laptop is now being rethought before our eyes. On its own, the Asus laptop we tested seemed pretty good. This is, of course, already a gaming level, since the ROG Zephyrus G15 does a good job with modern projects in the native screen resolution, Full HD, with high and lower quality, you can get a lot of FPS, and with maximum quality, the performance level is acceptable, only in some games will slow down. In general, the screen, according to the results of our tests, fully confirmed its declared properties and can really be recommended to players. Thus, although the laptop does not set records either in performance in games or in autonomy, it can be considered a good compromise solution, suitable for different life scenarios. In processor tests, including heavy professional tasks, it looks just fine. In fact, the only clear drawback that we found was the high noise level when the cooling system was operating in those modes that provide high performance. Roughly speaking, you will have to play with headphones. It's good that a work profile is provided as standard, providing relative silence, of course, at the expense of performance, which provides high performance. We hope you liked our review of Asus ROG Zephyrus G15. Do let us know your experience of Asus ROG laptops in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.